Good morning, Coast City. Good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to another edition of the Urban Marketplace. My name is Chiamaka Zapata, and with me in the studio is...
Tony Odufwe, it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, definitely. That's certain. It's undebatable. So today on the show, we are going to be discussing a whole lot of things. We have an exciting lineup for you. Today we are going to be tackling the number one problem in exporting. And when we talk about the number one problem in exporting, we are talking about finding the foreign export buyer. But first, before we get straight up into that, I have a common question to ask. Or rather, let's address the common question, which is who can become an exporter?
Yeah, good question. Thanks for that. Now, if you look at every serious businessman in Nigeria, not just the Southeast, but, since we are in the Southeast, I want to dwell on the Southeast because we're really trying to show the Igbo man, we're trying to cut the Igbo man the soap. Chiamaka, I thought you were going to laugh at that.
Yeah, okay.
Some soap.
Okay.
so we're trying to cut some soap for the Igbo man.
Mm-hmm.
But so if you look at every serious businessman in the Southeast, you'll find out that in their MEMAT, the objectives of their business, filed at the CAC, most of them are importer-exporter, right?
Yes.
But the problem is that some of these businesses are 50 years old, 60 years old, 30, 15, 20. But the exporter part is always dormant, right? Because the Igbo man is really strictly into importation and distribution of imported goods, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not helping our economy. It's draining the economy. It's putting a burden on the naira, and that demand on the dollar is why the dollar is very high. If we will stop importations today, the dollar will die a natural death, and that's why I've always encouraged governments in the Southeast to heavily scale industries, that is, to heavily industrialize, because if we can begin to manufacture the things that we consume locally, then there will be no need to source the dollar to go buy these things from overseas, and our economy will recover, right?
Yeah.
Now, to answer the question, who can export or who can become an exporter?
Yes.
Anybody who's an adult, of legal age can become an exporter. Anybody who has a stall where you sell stuff that are made in Nigeria. You have a distributorship, you have a retail store, you have a supermarket, you're a farmer, you're a graduate and you're looking for jobs. You can become an exporter. Where there are commodities, they can be exported. And Nigeria is blessed with over 1,000 exportables. From gari to palm oil to shea butter to bitter cola to vegetables to nchanwu, what they call nchanwu, scent leaf,
Yeah,
right?
the scent leaf.
To bitter leaf, to in the oil sector, petroleum products, crude oil, in the solid mineral is tin ore, iron ore, is gold, it's cobalt, it's limestone. Nigeria is blessed with many exportables, but it's just that Nigerians lack the know-how, lack the skills, required in export. And Nigerians don't really know that export is beneficial. And like I said the last time we started to talk about export on the Maiden Show, services are also exportable. So you, as a radio presenter, you can actually export your voice. Yes,
Yeah.
because you can live in Nigeria and do voiceovers for people living overseas.
not minding their
There are
location.
That's right. There are freelance websites there that I won't talk about them today. I won't mention the names today. That you can go to and sell your voice as a radio presenter. You can sell your singing voice, your singing ability. You can sell that. You know how to edit videos. You know how to edit audios. You know how to do graphic designs. You can live in Nigeria and earn dollars. We don't have a lot of time, but I want to quickly say this. A couple of years ago, the Nigerian police tagged a couple of young men, Yahoo boys. We know who are the real 419s, but a lot of these boys tagged Yahoo boys are not Yahoo boys. These are young men that are earning as much as $5,000, $10,000 monthly, living in Nigeria, and all they simply do is sell their skills. But they have these characteristics that is similar to the 419 boy because they carry a laptop all the time, they drive good cars, and they stay in hotels. The reason is that the hotel is where there's 24-hour power, they have internet to work with, and they're earning enough money to be able to maintain that lifestyle. So that is to say that if you have services, you can live in Nigeria and live above the Nigerian economy. So any adult of legal age can become an exporter.
Okay, so any adult of legal age can become an exporter.
Yeah.
You already highlighted some of the key requirements for someone who wants to become an exporter. Do you have more to add to that?
Well, it's still basic, So if you want to become an exporter, the first thing you have to do is have a limited liability company or a cooperative, right? So if you register this cooperative and you register or your CAC, then the next step will be to go to the NEPC, the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and get your export license for 13,500, right? Just a meager 13,500, and it's so efficient that you.
Is this a one-time payment?
No, it's an annual renewal.
Okay, annual renewal.
But every subsequent ones come cheaper. The first one is 13,500, then the next year you pay 7 or 7,500. To renew it, and that you keep renewing it every year, right? And so you get that license. It's so efficient that you pay for it today, you get it the next day, right? And so once you get that, you are essentially an exporter. The next step will be for you to learn the ropes of export, and that's where we encourage you to join the Export Chamber, which I'm the DG of the Export Chamber. So we do all things export. We teach export business. We teach you how to find international buyer. We teach you how to export without using your own money, and that's the sweet thing about export. You can actually export without using your own money, right? So that means that when you find the international buyer, the international buyer places an order and gives you a financial instrument that allows you to ship the goods with his own money and not with your own money. And so that's why export is a win-win for everybody. It's a win-win for the bank, it's a win-win for Nigeria, it's a win-win for you, the exporter. So we encourage you to look the way of export business.
All right. So what are the resources and support available to aspiring exporters? Aside the assistance you said you and your body are offering to them,
Yes.
what are other resources and support available for them?
The federal government of Nigeria came up with what we call the ZOP, the Zero Oil Plan. Because a couple of years ago, from 2007, Nigeria stopped making all the money we used to make from the sale of the mono product we had, the crude oil.
Yeah,
right?
the crude oil.
So it became clear that unless we diversify the economy, the Nigerian economy is going to die naturally, right? And so the federal government came up with what we call the ZOP, the Zero Oil Plan. And this is to encourage every Nigerian to go into export and to look away from oil. So it's essentially a non-oil export, So the federal government is saying, come, we'll encourage you, right? So through the NEPC, they offer a number of assistance, right? From offering of the transfer of skills to financial support. We have what we call the Export Expansion Grant, the EEG. And then we have what we call the EFP as well. Under the EFP, a lot of people that I brought into export were offered as much as 5 million, 10 million as grants. Not to pay back, just during the pandemic, right? The year of the pandemic, later in the year, they got as much as 5 million, 10 million given to them by the federal government, encouraging them to continue to do what they do. So the Nigerian government wants a soldier of exporters. So
do we have anything of that right now?
Well, the grant is not going on right now, but first of all, you have to join our community so that when it's available, you will know. We don't want gate crashers. But anyway, so that's it. The federal government is really supporting exporters in different ways. Now, there's something they call the pre-export, grant as well. So if you want to travel overseas, for example, to go scout for import buyers, that's importers from overseas,
yes.
right? The federal government can actually finance that trip, give you a ticket, give you some money to go do that research. Any pre-export,
encouraging.
Any pre-export activity, the federal government can actually support you, and that's why we're saying export is sweet business. It's just that you don't know about it. Come join us and let's show you the rope.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm also interested listening to you, listening
we need to
all
talk
of all
about.
this.
Sorry to cut you right there, but we need to talk about the major problem of export, which is.
We're actually going to get to that because
Okay.
I also want to ask because nothing comes so swiftly and smoothly, especially here in Nigeria. Definitely,
Not
there are
with-
going to
not
be
with
advantages and
export.
disadvantages. I know there are still challenges out there, so let's go about it.
Okay, the
are
challenge.
there challenges?
No, of course there are challenges, but those challenges are taken care of if you actually tutored and mentored properly. One of the challenges is that you have to do your research to find out what country buys the commodities that you promote and what requirements your product has to meet before you ship them. So if you wake up and you just ship goods, it gets there and it doesn't meet the specification, they will seize it, they will destroy it and send you the bills for destroying it.
Wait. Let me understand something. You need to say this one again. Say it again.
So one of the challenges, there are a number of them, but it's taken care of if you are properly mentored. That's why we're saying join the chamber. When you join the chamber, we teach you the ropes. Then you won't make this kind of mistakes. I've been exporting for so many years and I've never made this kind of mistake because I was taught right. Now, I'm saying that, for example, if you want to ship to America, you have to have what we call the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. It's a certification.
Okay.
But it's a body like NAFDAC, but they give you some kind of certification that allows you to bring food and drugs and even cosmetics into the US, right? So you wake up today and you said, I heard Mr. Tony Odupe talk about export on radio. Hey, I'm not an exporter. Then you carry stuff and ship to America without getting a FDA. When it gets to the port, the American government will seize the goods because, of course, it wouldn't meet the specifications. They will seize it, destroy it, but destroying it, accrues some cost to them. So they will send you the bill.
So you're going to take care of the bill.
That's right. So you're not only losing the cost of freight from Nigeria to America or the cost of goods, you're also getting a bill for destroying your goods that you invested millions to actually ship.
Is it really compulsory to take care of that cost? What if you just want to abscond?
They're trying to make sure you don't do it again.
Okay.
You can't abscond. This is America, for example.
Okay.
They can find you.
All right. So do we have other challenges? You
Yeah,
said that one.
other challenges. Most rookie exporters will tell you, "Oh yeah." You ask them, "Why aren't you exporting? You've been in this export community for a couple of years." They're like, "Oh, I don't have the money." No. Once you tell me that, I know you're not a real exporter, because any real exporter knows that money is never a problem with export. So a lot of people will say it's a lack of funds. Yes, lack of funds in setting up the export business, because like I said, you have to get your CAC, get your export license, and then set up your export funnel, which is, in these days, I encourage people to do the digital export funnel. You set up a website, set up a couple of social media accounts, and use the social media accounts to drive traffic to the website so that you can attain visibility globally, right? Yeah, that will cost you some money. But then when it comes to the actual exporter itself, let's say you live in America and you want 2 containers of shea butter from me, right? And so we start to talk. I send you a pro forma invoice, tell you the cost, you accept. I would have sent you the samples and you like it, and you're like, okay, I like it, it looks good. So I want to buy 2 containers, right? So we sign the contract. Once we've done the contract, what you will do next, you, the buyer in America, will open up what we call an LC, a letter of credit, right? That letter of credit is an instrument from the buyer's bank to me, the seller. Right? Once my bank receives that letter, that means that the money has left, the value of the 2 containers has left the buyer's account into an escrow account held by his bank, right? And that money is never going back to him. That money is my money, essentially, and it's just waiting for me to fulfill the order. So once my bank receives the LC, they will see, okay, these guys have opened the LC, so that means the money is secure. The bank will give me money to fulfill the order. Now, the beautiful thing about it is that it's not going to, that money the bank is going to give you, it's not like a term loan they give to importers, which is usually 3 months to 6 months, and you're paying high interest. This could be a facility, an overdraft sort of, that is not as expensive as a term loan, right? Given to you for about 45 days. Because you can, within 45 days, you would have, procured the goods, shipped it, and it has gotten to the person. In 45 days, you receive your money in your domiciliary account in Nigeria in dollars. And I'm talking about $100,000, $20,000, $300,000, depending on the size of the shipment, right? And so once that money bats into your domiciliary account, it's your money, okay? And what it means is that you can withdraw it in dollars, change it to naira, and have more money to fulfill more orders. So if you do this after a while, you wouldn't even need to, take money from the bank anymore. Now, there's some banks, when you have shipped and the LC has landed, they will actually give you money, in anticipation of the money you're about to receive, to actually begin to do your next export activities. That's export for you. That's why I say it's sweet business. So once you taste the export money, you can never go back.
Okay, so I have 2 questions that I want to ask from what you just said. First and foremost, when you export your goods, how long does it take? What's the duration? What's the process before you start getting your proceeds?
Yeah, it depends on where you're shipping to. For example, if you're shipping to America, a lot of times vessels take from anywhere between 18 days to 30 days to get to America. If it's Europe here, it's about 15 to 20 days. Okay. Right. So that's why I said it's great. The turnaround time is great. It's very short time. And so that's why you don't need a term loan of 3 months or 6 months. You just need a loan for 30 or 45 days to fulfill the order. Not necessarily a loan. It can be an overdraft that your bank can give you, put some money in your account after signing some documents on the strength of the LC that you have. Now, if your bank doesn't want to finance you, and of course, if you're a member of the chamber, you come to me, I can take you to somebody or some people who can actually finance your export fulfillment, and you have money to do that. At the end of the day, you pay them back and give them a little bit of quarter, as a thank you gift for financing your export.
Okay. Yeah. Do you also have that right to determine how your goods and services are valued over there?
No, most of these commodities have international prices. Okay. Like, for example, gold has international price. tin ore has international price, lead ore has international price. Some of the goods that we can determine the prices are some of our local goods that are not really international, that are found in Nigeria mostly. Something like agro or agro-light, agro-allied products, or products manufactured in Nigeria that are not really that international, then we can control the prices. But those commodities that are internationally owned, owned by different countries, they usually have international, prices. But let's say I make my shea butter hair cream right now. I can determine the price. So if I want to sell it for $45, I can. If I want to sell it for $10, I can. But the beautiful thing about it is, for the exporters, everybody's crying about the dollar right now. But let me tell you, those that are crying are those that are in the importation business, because they have to pay $100 and $1,300 for every dollar for them to go and ship the goods. When they've gotten the goods here, they have to reflect all that expense on the commodity, and you, the buyer, will have to pay for it. And that's why everybody's crying. But for exporters, we're smiling to the bank, because what it means is that, a commodity that I bought for, say, 100,000 naira, I can sell it for as much as 400,000 naira. And so that means that my profit is 300%, right?
Yeah.
So that's amazing. So why aren't you exporting? You are there at the market and now saying Afia because you're looking to sell to the wrong person, right? You're selling to the Nigerian who his or her minimum wage is 30,000 naira. How can they buy from you? Most of your customers are Nigerians who are struggling with this bad economy. What you simply need to do is take those commodities you're begging Nigerians to buy and relocate them to booming economies. Don't even go to US. Don't even go that far. US, Germany, Japan. Go to Kenya. Go to Cape Verde. These are African countries whose currencies are very good. Go to Malabo. Go to Equatorial Guinea. Go to Gabon. Go to Togo. They are not as industrialized as Nigeria, even though we are crying about the state of industries in Nigeria. Some of these African countries have strong currencies. Can you imagine that $100 is 15,000 Kenya shillings? When $100 is how much naira? 100 and something thousand, 116, 130,000 naira. So that tells you that the Kenya shilling is strong. And Kenya buys a lot from Nigeria. One of the major products that they love, some of the major products that they love from Nigeria are noodles, Ankara, and native, this native Nigerian fabrics, and our hair, all this hair on itself. Nigeria has a lot to offer, but you guys don't know. Afia because you don't want to learn export.
Okay, on Wednesday I asked this question and I want to ask it again. Is it all products and services that are exportable?
Every product in Nigeria can be sold outside Nigeria, including the ones that are not made in Nigeria. But the Nigerian government is saying that goods that are not made in Nigeria are prohibited from being exported, because what you're doing, if that commodity was bought from the US, you're making money for the US by taking their goods from here and shipping it for them, right? We want to promote Nigerian products and make money for Nigeria. So the federal government is saying that any item that is not made in Nigeria is prohibited from the export list. But everything that is made in Nigeria by way of farming or by way of manufacturing or by way of natural endowment is exportable, and we have over 1,000 of them, right? I really want to talk about how to find the export buyer, because that's the essence of
this conversation.
Yes. So we've talked about why Nigerian businesses are not doing well, and that's because you're selling to the Nigerian buyer who earns very little, right? Now, what you need to do, there are a number of ways. When I started export, one of the fastest ways to get export buyers is to go for trade shows, right? So you have trade shows all over the world annually: Germany, France, America, Japan. So you just have to watch out for these trade shows. If you belong to a chamber, you get these invitations, right? So we get these invitations as well for our members at the export chamber. So what happens is that you have to go for these trade shows, but because you're a Nigerian citizen, first you have to get your visa, you have to buy your ticket, and tickets since the pandemic are very expensive now. To go to Europe, you'll have to pay a return ticket for almost 2 million naira, right? So it's become an expensive way to find the export buyer, right? Going that route. But thanks to digital and social media technology, so today I can sit down right here and promote my export without leaving this room, and people in America will be seeing my commodities. I have posts online that I've made, and thousands of people and hundreds of thousands of people will see this posts, and if you're promoting an export product, you stand a chance of people finding you in America. So that's one of the easiest ways that you can find an export buyer. So we say that first of all, you have to build your website, a proper export website. If you come to us, we can do that for you. A proper export website is just a website done for export. We craft it very well professionally, and it tells your export story, and then we put on the product page all the products that you promote, anywhere from between 10 to 30 products, listed on this website. And then you use Google Ads and you use Instagram and Facebook to drive traffic to this website. That's your export funnel. That's the cheapest way. That's the most effective way, right? So you're sitting there and doing this every day, and your commodities are going places where you've never been. Your commodities are going as far as Japan. But why social media marketing is so great is that you can actually target a particular country. So if you're targeting just the US, you target your posts just to the US. If you want people from between the ages of 35 to 50 to see your posts, they are the ones that are going to see it. That's the outer precision that social media allows you, to have. And so that way you promote your export commodities living in Nigeria. And believe me, calls will start coming from all over the world or from those countries that you've targeted, right? Now, the other thing you can also do is do email marketing. That one is not as
effective.
No, it's not as expensive as the social media one, because you really have to place ads. But with email marketing, all you need to do is find a way to collate emails from the internet from all the possible buyers that you have globally, and then you craft one email, put the subject there, and then put all the all the emails at the BBC. On your email you have the to, then you have the CC, and then you have the BCC. So what you simply need to do is put the principal email, the principal recipient, at the to section, right? Jump the CC, because if you put emails on the CC, every other person that receives the mail will see a list of all the people receiving the mail. You don't want that. You jump the CC and go to BCC, which is blind carbon copy, and put all the thousands of emails that you've collected on there, and send just that one mail will go to thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of companies that can be your potential buyers. Your money in their pocket, so the email goes straight to them. Now, are you telling me that if you sent 1,000 mails, that 5 to 10 companies won't write you back and say, hey, we're interested in your commodities? This is the secret to export, and I'm giving it to you free on radio, right?
Wow.
So you need to join the export chamber. You need to come into the export business. You need to start earning a lot of money. And I tell you, whenever the dollar goes high, you'll be smiling to the bank.
Smiling to the bank. You be the big boy.
That's right.
Or the big girl. Okay, we've been looking at how to find the foreign export buyer right here on Urban Marketplace. It's been an insightful one.